The torrential rain hammered against the orange plastic of my helmet, a dull, rattling sound. My sneakers were completely waterlogged, and the icy chill seeped through the cheap canvas, crawling up my legs. But I couldn't worry about that. The late delivery warnings for 3 separate orders were flashing frantically on my phone screen. The red countdown timer was like a branding iron searing my retinas. 2 minutes left. 6:39 p.m. A late delivery meant a ratings hit and a pay cut. The money I could swallow, but if my rating dropped too low, I was deactivated. Game over. My name is Leo Martinez. I'm 26, and I've been a food delivery driver in this city for 3 years. My phone, mounted on the handlebars, glowed with a painful intensity. 3 orders, all blinking red. The one on top had only 1 minute and 47 seconds left. Each delivery was $6. Late was an automatic $3 penalty. 3 late orders, and my entire morning's work would be wiped out. It wasn't because I was slow. It was because the owner of Sal's Pizza had made me wait for a solid 10 minutes. 10 minutes ago, I'd rushed into his place, barking the order number 3 times. Sal was sitting out front, shooting the breeze with a regular, and didn't even bother to look up. With a cigarette dangling from his lips, he'd mumbled, chill out, chill out. It's not done yet. Can't you see I'm busy? But the app says, if it's not ready, why mark it as ready for pickup? You're just screwing me over, I thought. When the customer complains, the penalty comes out of my pocket, not yours. It's not that I'm a coward. It's just that all the restaurant owners around here are the same. If you argue with them, they'll call support and file a complaint, claiming you were disruptive. That's an instant $500 fine. It would take me 3 days of nonstop deliveries to make that back. So I just had to stand there by the counter, watching him leisurely chat with his buddy, leisurely toss the pizza, leisurely box it up. Finally, he slammed it down in front of me with a loud thud. The container of marinara sauce inside nearly popped open. He shot me a dirty look. There, now get out of here. You're giving me a headache. I grabbed the food and sprinted outside. The rain was coming down even harder now, and rush hour traffic was at a dead standstill. My e-bike was the only thing that could weave through the gaps between cars. Watching the seconds tick away, I saw the light at the intersection ahead turn red. I gritted my teeth, didn't even glance both ways, and gunned the throttle. And then came the deafening blast of a horn. Honk! My mind went completely blank. In my peripheral vision, I saw a massive semi-truck bearing down on me. The shriek of brakes tore through the air as the truck skidded to a halt, its grill just inches from my body. A tidal wave of muddy water and rain crashed over me, soaking me from head to toe. I sat on my bike, trembling, not from the cold, but from sheer terror. For a second there, I swear I saw my life flash before my eyes. But that fear only lasted a moment. It was immediately replaced by a surge of every frustration, every ounce of anger, all the bitterness that had been building up all day, and it erupted out of me. I jumped off my bike, stormed over to the truck's cab, and pointed a shaking finger at the driver inside. Are you King blind? Do you not look where you're going? Driving that fast in a storm like this, what's the rush? Got a death wish? Do you even know how to drive? If not, get off the road before you kill someone. I unleashed everything on this total stranger. My anger at the restaurant owner, the anxiety of the ticking clock, the crushing mediocrity of the last 3 years spent battling the elements. I was spitting, my voice was cracking, but the driver in the cab didn't say a word back. He just stared at me through the rain-streaked glass with a strange expression. It wasn't anger or annoyance. It was a kind of horrified pity, like he was looking at something he shouldn't be seeing. At the time, I didn't think much of it. I figured he knew he was in the wrong, that he'd almost hit me and had nothing to say for himself. Once I'd vented, I spat on the ground, got back on my bike, and glanced at my phone. 6:37 p.m. Damn it. Already late. Screw it. Let them dock my pay. I'm done for today. I'll find another job. I twisted the throttle and headed for my apartment. I rent a room on the top floor of a walk-up in a rough part of the city. $300 a month, the price of which is paid by climbing 8 flights of stairs. It's a tiny space, barely bigger than a closet, partitioned off from the main living area with a sheet of drywall. The kitchen is right next door, and the perpetual smell of stale, cooking oil hangs in the air. A young couple lives in the other partitioned room, and whenever they get a little loud at night, I can hear everything. Inside, there's nothing but a second-hand cot that groans with every movement, a folding table, and a plastic chair. In the corner sat my delivery bag, my torn rain poncho, and a pile of dirty laundry I hadn't gotten around to washing. I peeled off my soaked clothes, dropped them in a heap on the floor, and collapsed onto the bed. My whole body ached as if it were about to fall apart. I'd been out since 7 this morning, hadn't had a hot meal, or more than a few sips of water all day. I was so exhausted I couldn't even be bothered to lift a finger. I reached for the old phone on the nightstand. It was a 3-year-old Samsung, its screen a spiderweb of cracks. It always acted up in the rain, lagging so badly it was almost useless. The GPS would often glitch, showing me a mile away when I was right at the customer's door. I lit up the screen, expecting to see the negative reviews, but my eyes caught the time at the top of the display first. 6:37 p.m. I frowned and muttered, "Piece of crap phone, frozen again." From the time I finished yelling at the truck driver, rode home, changed, and flopped onto my bed, at least 15 minutes had to have passed. How could it still be 6:37? I turned the screen off and on again. The time hadn't changed, stuck stubbornly at 6:37. Damn it, bad reception, I grumbled, tossing the phone onto the bed without a second thought. This junker pulled stunts like this all the time. Once, my phone's clock got stuck at 10 a.m. for a whole afternoon. I almost thought I'd time traveled. A simple restart fixed it. I lay there for a while, letting my energy slowly return. I picked up the phone again and opened the delivery app. As expected, 3 one-star reviews. A $200 penalty and a 5-day suspension. Great. I immediately uninstalled the app. I'm done. They can find some other sucker. Next, I opened WhatsApp. The first thing I saw was the driver's group chat. One of the guys had posted a screenshot of a bad review he'd gotten because a little soup had spilled. A $200 fine. A stream of messages followed, all cursing the platform and the customers, saying that delivery drivers were treated like dirt. I didn't say anything. I scrolled up and opened my old high school group chat. The chat was buzzing. Chad Thompson had posted an Instagram picture of himself grinning next to a new Porsche. The caption read, "New toy. Big thanks to the team for a great quarter." The comments were full of people kissing up to him. "Congrats, Chad. Killing it. And you're the man. Let me know if you're hiring." Chad was in my class back in high school. He was at the bottom of the class, slept through lectures, and got into fights after school. He didn't even get into community college, but his family had money. He started some import-export company right after graduation and was now flying high, the star of our alumni group. And me? I was the top student back then. Aced my SATs and got into a decent state school. In my small town, that was a huge deal. But after graduation, I bounced between jobs for a few months before landing in food delivery. And here I've been for 3 years. It's a running joke at every class reunion. Last month, I didn't want to go to the reunion, but the class president insisted. The moment I walked in, Chad came over, holding a glass of champagne, and boomed loud enough for everyone to hear, Well, look who it is. Lau, taking a night off from the delivery grind? You were the brain of our class. How'd you end up delivering pizzas? What a waste of a college degree." Huh. The whole room erupted in laughter. I gripped my glass, forced a smile, and couldn't get a single word out. I stayed for less than 10 minutes before making an excuse and leaving. That moment stuck in my mind like a thorn I couldn't pull out. As I was staring at the chat, a new voice memo from my mom popped up. 60 seconds. I sighed and hit play. "Leo, honey, I worry about you. All day out in this weather, riding so fast. I'm just so scared you'll get into an accident. Your cousin just got another raise, you know. He's making over $100,000 a year now. A stable 9 to 5 desk job, full benefits package of 401k. He's safe from the wind and the rain. It's a real career. I already talked to your uncle and your cousin. You could come home, work at his company. You could learn the ropes from him. What do you say?" Her voice droned on, a familiar litany of who had landed a secure government job, which of my peers was already married and had bought a house. Every word, though wrapped in concern, felt like a judgment on my rootless, dead-end life. I listened in silence, each word a needle prick to my pride. They were meant to be words of love, but all I heard was that she thought I was a failure. I couldn't take it anymore. I stopped the message, threw my phone onto the bed, and slid down the wall to sit on the floor. Rely on my cousin? On family? I scoffed internally. Whatever he'd achieved, he'd earned it. What would I be, swooping in to pick up the scraps? living off his charity, constantly watching his mood? No way. Leo Martinez, had too much pride for that. Was I any less capable than him? Back in school, I ran circles around him academically. If I hadn't had a bit of bad luck and ended up at a state school instead of an Ivy, would my life be any worse than is now? I just never got the right break. I just needed a little luck. I grabbed a handful of my hair in frustration and kicked the leg of the bed, the pain making me wince and fueling my anger. I've never stolen anything, never hurt anyone. I want to climb, I want to succeed, I just haven't gotten my chance yet. Why does everyone, even my own mother, see me as just a delivery guy? Someone who has to rely on handouts to get by. Someone so completely insignificant. I stared up at the peeling, mold-stained ceiling and said to the empty room, I'd give anything for a chance. A chance to get rich, to prove myself, to shut up every single person who looks down on me. I swear to God, I'd do anything. As the words left my lips, I heard a faint, sharp screech of brakes, followed by the ding-ding of a late delivery notification, identical to the sounds from my phone. I froze for a second, then picked up my phone. All the apps were closed. There was nothing. Damn, I'm losing my mind, I muttered, turning the screen back on and opening TikTok to zone out. After a day like today, my brain was fried. Mindlessly scrolling was the only thing that helped. Hot girls, other people's perfect lives, at least I could dream. I'd only swiped twice when an ad popped up, taking over half the screen. It was unskippable. I scowled, trying to flick it away, but my thumb slipped and I clicked right on it. The page loaded a stark, simple interface. Black background, a line of bold white text at the top. Life on easy mode. One click to unlock your perfect life. Achieve financial freedom and permanently chill. Below was a giant red button that read, Accept now. And under the button, in a font so tiny it was barely legible, was another line of text. Normally, I would have closed it immediately. These garbage ads were always scams, trying to get you to pay for something or download some malware. But today was different. I had nothing better to do. What's the harm in one click? What if it's real? With that thought, my finger moved on its own accord and pressed the big red button. The moment I tapped it, my phone buzzed once. Nothing happened. The same screen remained. Scam, I muttered, about to exit, when my phone began to vibrate uncontrollably. A text message from my bank exploded onto the screen, filling the entire display. Your checking account, ending in 0719, has received a deposit of $1 billion at 6:37 p.m. Your new current balance is $1,342.76. I stared at the message, my mind a complete blank. My hand was shaking. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, millions, billions. $1 billion? My first thought was that it was a phishing text. Scammers these days could even spoof bank alerts. Impressive. I laughed and opened my official banking app to check my real balance. The moment the app loaded, the blood in my veins turned to ice. The account balance, in clear, undeniable numbers, read $1,342.76. I counted the zeros 3 times. No mistake. $1 billion. My hands were trembling so violently, I almost dropped the phone. I refreshed the page again and again. Once, twice, 10 times. The number didn't change. Not by a single cent. I opened the transfer function and sent $10,000 to my Venmo account. It arrived instantly. It was real. I had $1 billion. I sat on my bed, stunned, for a full 10 minutes. Then I started to laugh. And as I laughed, tears started streaming down my face. They weren't tears of sadness, but of pure, unadulterated relief. 3 years of frustration and humiliation came pouring out all at once. I was king rich. I never had to worry about the future again. I never had to take crap from anyone again. My mom would never call me a disappointment, and my old classmates could never laugh at me again. The first thing I did wasn't to buy a sports car or a mansion. It was to open all those predatory payday loan apps and pay off every single one of my debts. $25,000 in total. The moment I was done, I stared at the words "no outstanding debt" on the screen and let out a long, deep breath. For 3 years, I'd been drowning in those payments, robbing Peter to pay Paul. Now, finally I was free. After paying everything off, I looked at the $1 billion balance still sitting in my account and finally calmed down. The first person who popped into my head was Sal, the owner of the pizza place. He was the one. He'd held my order for 10 minutes, making me late and costing me money. I never dared to stand up to him before because I was afraid of getting a complaint, of being fined, of losing my job. But now, with $1 billion in the bank, what the hell did I have to be afraid of? I went straight to Zillow, found a commercial real estate agent, and made a call. He picked up on the second ring, his voice oozing with professional friendliness. "Hello, are you looking to rent or buy?" "Buy," I said, leaning back against the headboard, my voice steady. "I want to buy the storefronts on the restaurant row on Hudson Avenue. The block with the old pizzeria, Sal's. I want all 3 connected properties." There was a pause on the other end. The agent's tone shifted, becoming slightly dismissive. "Sir, those properties, the total asking price is $12 million. Are you sure you're interested in purchasing?" I chuckled, not wasting any more time. I took a screenshot of my bank balance and texted it to him. The line was dead silent for a full 30 seconds. When he spoke again, his voice was trembling, practically tripping over itself with enthusiasm. "Mr. Martinez." "Hello, sir. My apologies. When would be a good time for you to meet? I can get the owner over there right now. I'll bring the contracts. If you're paying in full, we can close today." "Come over now," I said, giving him my address before hanging up. Less than half an hour later, the agent and the property owner arrived, both out of breath from the 8-flight climb. The moment they stepped into my tiny room, they were bowing and scraping, a complete 180 from the agent's initial attitude. The owner was a local guy in his 50s. He respectfully handed me the deeds. "Mr. Martinez, here are the deeds for the 3 properties. The titles are clean, no liens. If you're paying in full, I can knock off the odd $200,000. Let's say $11,800,000. How does that sound?" I didn't even glance at the papers. I waved my hand. "No discount necessary. $12 million, the asking price. Let's do the paperwork now." I could transfer the money immediately. Both the owner and the agent stared, dumbfounded. They had probably never seen a buyer so eager, who didn't even bother to negotiate. Snapping out of their shock, they quickly produced the contracts and showed me where to sign. I signed the papers, opened my banking app, and transferred $12 million. It went through in seconds. The owner looked at the deposit notification on his phone, his hands shaking. He pushed the deeds into my hands, repeating, "Mr. Martinez, you're the landlord now. Anything you need, you just let me know." I held the deeds and smiled. "Sal, my friend, tomorrow we have a score to settle." The next morning, I woke up without an alarm. For the first time in 3 years, I didn't have to set it for 7 a.m. For the first time, I didn't wake up with the immediate dread of how many orders I had to complete, how much money I had to scrape together. I woke up and my body was ready. I showered and changed into a new outfit I'd had delivered last night. Designer brands from head to toe. Cost over $20,000. A year ago, I couldn't have even dreamed of it. I called an Uber and went straight to the restaurant district. Sal's Pizza had just opened. The owner, Sal, was squatting by the entrance, prepping vegetables. When he saw me, he barely looked up, just rolled his eyes and started in. "What are you doing here again? No deliveries to make? Don't hang around my shop. I'm not running a charity." Same old condescending attitude. I didn't say anything, just leaned against the doorframe and smiled at him. A couple of minutes later, the former owner showed up, with 2 lawyers trailing behind him. When Sal saw him, he scrambled to his feet, offered him a cigarette, and grinned. "Mr. D'Angelo, what brings you here? Come on in, have a seat." Mr. D'Angelo ignored the cigarette, didn't even look at Sal. He walked straight up to me and said, with the utmost respect, "Mr. Martinez." The smile on Sal's face froze. Mr. D'Angelo turned to him, his expression flat. "Sal, these 3 storefronts have been sold to Mr. Martinez. He is the new owner. Your lease has 3 months left. As per the contract, I am terminating it early. I will pay you the contractually obligated 2 months' rent as a penalty. You have 3 days to clear out your equipment and vacate the premises." Sal's face went white. The cigarette fell from his fingers. He stood there, stunned, then whipped his head around to stare at me, his eyes wide with disbelief. "You bought this place? What do you think?" I took a step forward, my voice calm. "Yesterday, when you slammed my order down on the counter, you were pretty tough, weren't you? Didn't you say I was just some pathetic delivery guy causing you problems? Because of you, I was late, I lost money, and I was almost killed by a truck. Did you ever stop to think that I have a family to support? That every dollar I make is a struggle? Sal's knees began to shake. With a thud, he dropped to the ground, grabbing my pant leg, his voice cracking. Mr. Martinez. Sir, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I'm a total idiot. I judged you. Please, have a heart. Don't do this to me. My mother is paralyzed. I have 2 kids in school. This restaurant is my life. If you kick me out, my family will starve. I looked down at him kneeling before me, feeling not a shred of pity, only a deep, satisfying rush. When he was looking down his nose at me, humiliating me, did he ever imagine this day would come? I kicked his hand away. 3 days, I said coldly. Get out. Don't waste my time, or I'll have my lawyers talk to you. With that, I turned and walked away. I could hear Sal's wailing behind me, but I didn't look back. All that pent-up anger was finally released. It felt incredible. Leaving the restaurant district, I called my old class president. He let it ring for a while before finally declining the call and sending a voice message, his tone dismissive. Hey, Leo. What's up? I'm kind of busy right now. He probably figured a delivery guy calling him couldn't be good news. I replied, Hey man, I feel bad I had to leave the reunion early last month. I want to make it up to everyone. I'm hosting another get-together today for lunch. I've booked the rooftop ballroom at the Sterling Grand Hotel. Let everyone know, whoever can make it, it's on me. There was a long pause before he replied. Now, did you say the Sterling Grand? The 5-star hotel downtown? The rooftop ballroom? That's the one, I said calmly. Just spread the word. Tell them Leo Martinez is buying. After hanging up, I took a cab straight to the hotel. When I arrived, a doorman rushed to open my door, greeting me with a respectful good afternoon, sir. In the past, I wouldn't have even dared to step inside this place. Now, I walked straight to the front desk and asked to see the general manager. The receptionist gave me a quick, professional once-over and, not daring to dismiss me, immediately called her boss. Less than 5 minutes later, a middle-aged man in a sharp suit hurried over, extending his hand. Good afternoon, sir. I'm the general manager, Mr. Kane. How may I help you? Is this hotel for sale? I asked, getting straight to the point. Mr. Kane blinked. Sir, you must be joking. This hotel is part of a larger hospitality group. It's valued at over $300 million. It's not for sale. For $100 million, I said, looking him in the eye. All cash. I can wire it now. Ask your boss if he's interested. Mr. Kane's expression changed instantly. He quickly pulled out his phone and stepped aside to make a call. 10 minutes later, he came rushing back, a massive grin plastered on his face. He grabbed my hand and shook it vigorously. Mr. Martinez, sir, our owner has agreed. $400 million, full transfer of ownership. We could draw up the contracts right now. I smiled, didn't waste words, and told him to bring the paperwork. I glanced over it, saw no issues, signed my name, and transferred $400 million. As of today, the most luxurious 5-star hotel in the city was mine. Soon after, my old classmates started to arrive. I stood at the entrance to the ballroom, watching them walk in, one by one, their faces a mixture of shock and disbelief. They couldn't wrap their head around the fact that me, the delivery guy, was treating them to a party on the rooftop of the Sterling Grand. Chad Thompson was the last to arrive. Dressed in designer clothes, a Rolex on his wrist, he walked in with his hands up, laughing. Sorry I'm late, everyone. Just closed a multi-million-dollar deal. You know how it is. Just like at the last reunion, everyone immediately swarmed him, showering him with Mr. Thompson this, and Chad, you're amazing that. He soaked it all in, greeting people with a smug smile. His eyes scanned the room and landed on me, standing in the corner. A sneer touched his lips. He swaggered over, clapping me on the shoulder hard enough to make me stumble. He raised his voice, making sure everyone could hear. Joe, Leo, you actually did it. This place can't be cheap. A meal here must cost you, what, half a month of deliveries? Come on, tell us, did you win the lottery? The people around us glanced over, some of them snickering. I just smiled at him. Seeing me silent, Chad pressed on. I'm not trying to be a jerk, man, but what was the point of all that studying you did? You were so smart, and for what? To deliver food? A man's got to make money. Look at me, I barely graduated, and I'm pulling in 7 figures a year. I just bought a Porsche. That's what I call living. Just as he finished his sentence, the ballroom doors swung open. Mr. Kane entered, followed by a dozen waiters pushing serving carts. The room fell silent. Everyone stared at the general manager. Mr. Kane ignored them all, walked directly to me, bowed deeply, and said respectfully, "Mr. Martinez, the menu you requested is prepared. Also, the paperwork for your full acquisition of the hotel yesterday has been finalized. Here are the deeds. Please keep them safe." He presented the property deeds to me with both hands. The entire room was dead silent. Every eye was wide, darting between me and Mr. Kane, their faces frozen in utter disbelief. The smug grin on Chad's face vanished, his complexion shifting from red to white like a traffic light. He just stood there, his hands hanging uselessly at his sides. I took the deeds, placed them casually on a nearby table, and nodded at Mr. Kane. "Got it. My classmates are here today. Make sure they have a good time. Everything is on me. And prepare a gift bag for everyone on their way out. Put on my account." "Of course, Mr. Martinez." "As you wish," Mr. Kane said with another bow, before leading his staff away. The ballroom was still eerily quiet. I picked up a glass of champagne from the table, walked over to Chad, and smiled. "Chad, what was it you were saying?" "That this meal would cost me half a month of deliveries." Chad's legs were shaking. He shot to his feet, forcing a smile that was more like a grimace. "Elio, man, I was just kidding. I have a big mouth. I don't know what I'm saying. Don't take it seriously. Didn't you say my education was useless? That I was destined to be a delivery guy?" I took a sip of my drink. "What's wrong with delivering food? The millions you make in a year wouldn't even cover this hotel's property taxes for a month. In front of me, what are you trying to prove?" Chad's head was bowed, so low his chin was practically touching his chest. He couldn't say a single word. The classmates who had been fawning over him just moments ago now flocked to me, each holding a glass, bowing and smiling. "Leo, I had no idea you were so successful. You're a true dark horse. I always knew you were destined for great things, Leo. Leo, you have to give us some pointers sometime." I looked at their sycophantic faces and felt no disgust, only an overwhelming sense of satisfaction. Before, they looked down on me, laughed at me. Now, they all had to circle around me, trying to get on my good side. It felt good to have money. It felt really good. At that reunion, everyone toasted me, showering me with endless praise. Chad stayed in his corner the entire time, not daring to look up. He slunk out before the party was even over. After that day, my perfect life truly began. I bought a penthouse apartment with a river view, over 3,000 square feet with a massive balcony overlooking the entire city skyline. No more $300 a month cubicle for me. I bought a top-of-the-line Rolls-Royce and hired a personal driver. No more battling the elements on an e-bike. I sent my parents $10 million and bought them the biggest mansion in my hometown. The relatives who used to constantly compare me to my cousin were now practically begging to get in our good graces. My mom stopped telling me I was a disappointment, and now her calls were filled with "take care of yourself. Don't work too hard." I no longer had to stare at late delivery warnings, no longer had to endure the condescension of restaurant owners and customers, no longer had to kill myself for a few dollars in delivery fees. I flew around the world on my private jet, threw parties on my luxury yacht. The life I had only ever seen on TikTok was now my reality. I had become everything I had ever wanted to be. One day, I was on my private jet on my way to Miami for a vacation. After we reached cruising altitude, I leaned back on the plush leather sofa, sipping vintage wine and gazing at the clouds below. I felt a sudden, inexplicable emptiness. I used to think that having money would make me perpetually happy, perpetually satisfied. But now, I had everything I had ever wanted. I had done everything there was to do, experienced everything there was to experience. And I was starting to feel bored. I remembered when I first started as a delivery driver, how happy I was for days after receiving my first paycheck. I remembered the thrill of completing a long-distance order and earning a $10 tip, how I'd celebrate with a good burger with all the fixings. I remembered finishing a long shift with my buddies, grabbing some beers and wings, and just shooting the breeze. I was so happy then. Now all of that happiness was gone. I could afford the most expensive wine in the world, but it didn't taste as good as the $5 beer I used to drink. I swirled the wine in my glass and casually asked my personal assistant, "What time is it?" She turned to me with a polite smile and answered, enunciating each word clearly, "Mr. Martinez, it is currently 6:37 p.m. Clang. The wine glass slipped from my hand and fell onto the thick carpet, spilling red wine everywhere. A chill ran down my spine. I shot upright and grabbed my phone. I lit up the screen. The time was displayed in bold numbers, 6:37 p.m. I glanced at the Patek Philippe on my wrist, a watch worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The hands were frozen at 6:37. I scrambled into the cockpit. The digital clock on the instrument panel read 6:37. What's going on? I grabbed my assistant's arm, my voice a hysterical shout. What time is it really? Are all your watches broken? My assistant, still in my grasp, maintained her calm smile. Mr. Martinez, she said, her voice unchanging. The time is 6:37 p.m. I let go of her and staggered back, collapsing onto the floor. No, this isn't right. Something is wrong. I remember it clearly now. The near miss with the truck happened at 6:37. When I got back to my apartment, my phone said 6:37. When I bought the storefronts, the clock in Sal's Pizzeria read 6:37. During the class reunion, the grand clock in the hotel lobby read 6:37. And now, weeks later, on a private jet, it was still 6:37. I thought my phone had crashed, that the clocks had stopped, that my eyes were playing tricks on me. But now, every clock, everywhere was showing 6:37. The plane landed. I bolted out of the airport and ran frantically through the streets. The giant digital billboard in Times Square, 6:37. The scrolling ticker at the bank, 6:37. The clocks in a department store window, 6:37. The departure board in the subway station, 6:37. I grabbed a high school girl on the street, my eyes wild. Kid, please, tell me, what time is it? The girl looked at me with an unnerving smile and said, enunciating each word, Mister, it's 6:37 p.m. I let her go and grabbed a janitor sweeping the sidewalk. Sir, what time is it? The old man stopped his broom and looked at me with vacant eyes. Son, he smiled, it's 6:37. I asked 100 people, 1,000 people, men, women, old people, children. Their answers were all exactly the same. 6:37. I drove my car like a madman, crisscrossing the entire city, from east to west, north to south. Every clock, every digital display, every phone, all of them were stuck at 6:37. I bought plane tickets. I flew to Los Angeles, to Chicago, to London, to Paris. No matter where I went on Earth, no matter who I asked, the time was always 6:37. Time had stopped moving. I broke. I screamed at the sky, smashing everything around me. I had never felt such terror in my life, not even when I was about to be hit by that truck. This was a million times worse. System, show yourself. What the hell is going on? I yelled at the empty air, and at that moment, a cold, emotionless, electronic voice echoed clearly in my mind for the first time. Welcome, host, to the Eternal Life Simulator. My body went rigid. I stopped screaming. I held my breath. First, the first truth shall be revealed. You are currently within a closed loop of the Eternal Life Simulator. The dimension of time has been permanently locked at the anchor point, the moment your consciousness terminated, 6:37 p.m. From the beginning, time has never passed. The moment my consciousness terminated, my mind exploded with a deafening buzz. And then, a memory I had never seen before appeared in my mind. Unskippable, unclosable. The rainy street, rush hour. I was getting the throttle, running the red light. The truck had no time to stop. It slammed into me. I was thrown from my bike like a rag doll, landing in a crumpled heap on the pavement. Blood mixed with the rain, pooling around me. My eyes were still open, staring blankly at the gray sky. My phone had fallen out of my pocket, its screen lit up, displaying the time, 6:37. I died instantly. My consciousness dissipated the moment I hit the ground. The argument with the driver, going back to my apartment, the billion-dollar deposit, buying the storefronts, humiliating my classmates, traveling the world. All of it was a fantasy constructed by my dying brain in its final moments, a desperate escape from the reality of death, an escape from the miserable, pathetic life that I myself despised. I never left that rainy street. I died, and will forever be dead, at 6:37 p.m. I trembled, unable to speak. The cold, electronic voice sounded again. Next, the second truth shall be revealed, the eternal recurrence protocol. Before your consciousness faded, You personally clicked the Accept Now button. The protocol has been permanently activated. The terms of the protocol were stated in the fine print you ignored. Do you agree to repeat the life you have chosen in the exact same manner for an infinite number of cycles? You will be forever trapped in the consciousness loop of 6:37 p.m., infinitely repeating this perfect life you designed for yourself. Without rest, without end. Infinitely repeating, forever trapped. I finally understood. I thought I had found a shortcut, a perfect life. I thought I had escaped the misery of being a delivery driver. But in reality, I had dug my own grave, a tomb from which I could never escape. I had built myself an eternal prison. I had hated my own life so much that I couldn't even bear the thought of living it again. But now, I was condemned to repeat this seemingly perfect life forever. I was already tired of everything. I was already bored, empty, devoid of meaning. And yet, I would have to repeat the act of buying the storefronts, repeat the class reunion, repeat the world travels, repeat all of it, over and over and over in an endless, unbreakable cycle. I didn't cry. I didn't feel regret. I didn't even miss my old life of struggling to get by. All I felt was a boundless, soul-crushing terror and a numbness that went straight to my bones. I ran, screaming, to the roof of the hotel and threw myself off the edge. Just as I thought it was all about to end, the piercing sound of an alarm clock ripped me back to reality. My eyes shot open. I was on my back, the familiar discomfort of the lumpy cot in my tiny apartment beneath me. Above me was the moldy, yellowed ceiling. Beside my head, my old cracked Samsung was shrieking, my ironclad 7 a.m. work alarm. I was back in my $300 a month room, clutching the broken phone. The screen was on, displaying that same crude, black interface. Life on easy mode. One click to unlock your perfect life. And below it, the giant red Accept Now button. The time at the top of the screen was fixed forever at 6:37. In my ears, the screech of the truck's brakes and the sharp ding-ding of the late delivery alert played on a loop, over and over, never stopping. My expression shifted from one of utter breakdown to a strange, hollow numbness. My finger, moving on its own, once again stabbed down violently on the Accept Now button. The phone vibrated manically. The text message announcing the $1 billion deposit flashed onto the screen. The cycle began again.